Captain Jake Martinez stood on the bridge of the UES Discovery. He watched the stars through the big window in front of him. The ship had been flying for 3 months now. This was humanity's first trip to the far edge of their solar system. "Captain, we're getting something strange on the sensors," said Lieutenant Amy Johnson. She worked at the communications desk. Her voice sounded worried. Jake walked over to her station. "What kind of strange?" Amy pointed at her screen. "Big objects coming toward us. Really big. They don't match anything in our database." The bridge got quiet. Everyone stopped what they were doing. Dr. Lisa Barnes, the ship's scientist who studied alien life, came over from her station. "How big are we talking about?" Jake asked. Amy pressed some buttons. The main screen showed what the sensors found. Everyone on the bridge stopped breathing for a moment. The objects were huge. They looked like they were made of crystal or glass. The ships had smooth curves and sharp edges at the same time. They reflected light in ways that hurt to look at. Each ship was at least 10 times bigger than the Discovery. "Count them," Jake said quietly. Amy worked fast on her computer. 20 ships, sir. Maybe more coming." Jake felt his heart beat faster. This was it. First contact with aliens. Every human had wondered about this moment. Now it was happening. "Send a message to Earth," he told Amy. "Tell them we found something." "Already did, sir. But it will take hours for the message to reach them." The alien ships got closer. They moved in perfect formation. No human pilot could fly that smoothly together. "Sir," said Lieutenant Bob Carter, from the weapons station, "should I power up our guns?" Jake thought about it. Their small Earthship had some weapons, but nothing that could fight those giant alien ships. Not yet. Let's see what they want first. The alien ships stopped about 1 mile away from the Discovery. They formed a circle around the human ship. Jake felt trapped, but he tried not to show it. "Captain," Amy said with excitement in her voice, "I'm getting a transmission from them." "Put it on speaker." The bridge filled with a strange sound. It was like music mixed with static. Then, slowly, the sounds changed into words they could understand. "Greetings, humans of Earth." Everyone on the bridge looked at each other. The voice sounded calm and friendly. It had no accent that Jake could recognize. "We are the Korathian Collective. We have traveled far to meet you." Jake stepped forward. "This is Captain Jake Martinez of the Earthship Discovery. We welcome you." "Thank you, Captain Martinez. We have been watching your species for some time. You have impressed us with your rapid growth." Dr. Barnes whispered to Jake, "They've been watching us?" The alien voice continued, "We come with an offer of friendship and protection. Your species is young and faces many dangers as you explore the galaxy." Jake felt confused. "What kind of dangers?" "There are hostile species among the stars. Pirates who steal from young civilizations. Ancient machines that destroy planets. Forces that your people cannot imagine yet." Lieutenant Carter looked worried. "Captain, this sounds serious." The alien voice went on. "We have helped many species. Like yours, we can build defenses around your world. We can share some of our technology. We can guide you safely into the galactic community." Jake thought this sounded too good to be true. "What would you want in return?" "Very little. Just friendship and cooperation. Your people would join our collective. You would contribute to the greater good of all species." Dr. Barnes stepped closer to Jake. She whispered very quietly, "Something feels wrong about this." Jake nodded slightly. He had the same feeling. These aliens appeared just when humanity started exploring deep space. They offered help before humans even knew they needed it. "We appreciate your offer," Jake said out loud, "but we need time to think about this. And we need to talk to our leaders on Earth." "Of course. This is a big decision." We will wait while you consider our proposal." The transmission ended. The bridge was quiet again. "Amy, send everything we recorded to Earth. Make it priority 1. "Yes, sir." Jake looked at the alien ships surrounding them. They were beautiful, but also frightening. Their crystal surfaces seemed to watch the human ship. Dr. Barnes came up to him. "Captain, I've been studying their ship formations. They're not just protecting us. They're blocking all our escape routes." Jake felt a chill run down his back. "Are you sure?" "Look at the pattern. If we tried to run in any direction, they could catch us easily." Lieutenant Carter joined them. "Sir, I'm also seeing something weird. Their weapons aren't pointed away from us. They're pointed at us." Jake stared at the alien ships with new eyes. Were these really friendly protectors? Or were they something else? "Keep monitoring everything," he told his crew. "And don't let them know we're suspicious." Amy looked up from her station. "Captain, I'm getting more transmissions, not from the aliens. From Earth." "What does Earth say?" "Admiral Collins wants you to learn everything we can. But he also says to be very careful." Jake nodded. Earth's military leaders were smart. They probably had the same bad feeling about this situation. Hours passed. The alien ships stayed in their circle around the Discovery. They didn't move closer, but they didn't move away either. Dr. Barnes spent the time studying the aliens' technology. "Captain, their ships are more advanced than anything we imagined, but I noticed something strange." "What?" "They're not scanning space around us for threats. They're scanning us. They're studying our ship, our weapons, our technology." Jake felt the bad feeling get stronger. Why would friendly protectors need to study our weapons? "Maybe they're not as friendly as they claim," Dr. Barnes said quietly. That night, Jake couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about the aliens' offer. Protection sounded good, but protection from what? And why did protectors need to surround them like prisoners? He called Amy to the bridge. "Send a coded message to Earth. Tell them about our suspicions. Use the emergency codes." "Already working on it, sir." Jake looked out at the alien ships again. Their crystal surfaces glowed softly in the darkness of space. They were beautiful, but now they looked more like a cage than a welcome. Tomorrow, Earth would have to decide. Accept the aliens' protection, or find out what happened to species that said no. Jake had a feeling that humanity was about to learn something important about the galaxy, and he wasn't sure they would like what they discovered. Secretary General Maria Santos walked into the United Nations meeting room. She had never been more nervous in her life. Today, aliens would speak to all of Earth's leaders for the first time. The room was full of presidents, prime ministers, and generals from every country. Everyone whispered to each other in different languages, but they all looked scared and excited at the same time. President Kevin Harper of the United States sat in the front row. Next to him was General Frank Turner, the head of the Marines. General Turner looked calm, but Maria could see his hands were tight on his chair. "Ladies and gentlemen," Maria said into her microphone, "today we make history. The Korathian ambassador will speak to us now." The lights in the room got dim. A bright glow appeared in the center of the room. Slowly, a figure took shape in the light. The alien was tall and thin. Its skin looked like it was made of crystal, but it moved like flesh. Its eyes were large and blue, like deep ocean water. When it spoke, its voice came from everywhere at once. "Greetings, leaders of Earth. I am Ambassador Zalthek of the Korathian Collective." Maria tried to speak, but her voice caught in her throat. This was really happening. The ambassador continued. "We come in peace. We have watched your species grow and learn. You have impressed us with your creativity and determination." President Harper stood up. "We welcome you, Ambassador. What brings you to our world?" We come with an offer that will change your future. The galaxy is a dangerous place for young species like yours. We want to help you survive and grow." The ambassador waved his hand. The air above the room filled with pictures made of light. They showed planets and stars and great ships flying. "Between them, this is our collective," Zalthek said. "We protect over 300 worlds. Each one is safe from the dangers that destroy other civilizations." The pictures showed beautiful cities and happy people on different worlds. Everyone in the room looked amazed. "What kind of dangers?" asked Dr. Helen Cross. She was Earth's expert on game theory and strategy. "Many kinds," the ambassador said. "Space pirates who steal resources from developing worlds. Ancient war machines that still fight battles from long ago. Diseases that spread between planets. And species that grow too fast and become threats to everyone." General Turner stood up. "You mentioned protection. What exactly are you offering?" The ambassador smiled. At least Maria thought it was a smile. "We will build defense stations around your planet. We will share some of our technology with you. We will guide your development so you avoid the mistakes that destroyed other species." "And what do you want from us?" President Harper asked. "Very little. Just cooperation. You would contribute 15% of your industrial production to the collective. You would accept our guidance on military and space technology. And you would help us protect other worlds when needed." Maria heard whispers around the room. 15% was a lot, and guidance on military technology sounded like control. Colonel Liu Wei from China stood up. "Ambassador, can you tell us more about these threats? We would like to know what we're being protected from." The ambassador paused. For just a moment, he looked uncomfortable. "The threats are many and varied. Rogue species that expand too quickly, pirates and raiders, cosmic forces beyond your understanding." "But specifically," General Turner pressed, "what threats are near Earth right now?" Another pause. "The galaxy is always dangerous. Prevention is better than reaction." Dr. Cross leaned forward. "Ambassador, in our experience, when someone offers protection without explaining the threat, they often are the threat." The room got very quiet. Maria held her breath. "I assure you, Dr. Cross, we mean no harm. We have protected species for thousands of years. Our methods are proven." "Can we speak to some of these protected species?" President Harper asked. "That would be difficult. They are busy with their own affairs. But I can show you the benefits they have received." More pictures appeared in the air. They showed advanced technology and beautiful cities. But Maria noticed something strange. All the cities looked the same. All the technology looked the same. Admiral Nancy Rodriguez from the Navy stood up. "Ambassador, I've been watching your ships through our telescopes. They've moved into positions around our planet. Are they protecting us or blocking us?" The ambassador's crystal skin seemed to glow brighter. "They are in defensive positions. This is standard protocol." "Defensive against what?" General Turner asked again. "Against any threats that might appear." Maria saw the leaders looking at each other. The ambassador was not answering their questions directly. Prime Minister John Clark from Britain stood up. "Ambassador, what happens if we say no to your offer?" The alien was quiet for a long time. "That would be unfortunate. Species that refuse protection often face difficulties. The galaxy is dangerous for those who are alone." "What kind of difficulties?" Dr. Cross asked. "Isolation, lack of guidance, vulnerability to threats." General Turner stepped forward. "Are you threatening us?" "Not at all. We are simply explaining reality. Young species need guidance. Without it, they often make mistakes that lead to their destruction." Maria felt a chill. This didn't sound like an offer anymore. It sounded like a demand. President Harper looked around the room at all the other leaders. Ambassador, we appreciate your offer, but we need time to discuss this among ourselves. Of course, but please do not take too long. Our protection is time-sensitive. How long do we have? Maria asked. 48 hours should be sufficient. The ambassador's image began to fade. We will wait for your answer, but remember, this opportunity may not come again. The alien disappeared. The room was quiet for a moment. Then everyone started talking at once. Did you hear that? President Harper said to General Turner. Time-sensitive protection? That sounds like a deadline. And did you notice he never really answered our questions? Dr. Cross added. He kept being vague about the threats. Admiral Rodriguez looked worried. I've got reports from our space tracking stations. Those alien ships have moved closer to Earth. They're in perfect position to blockade us. Colonel Yu Wei nodded. In my country, we have a saying. When someone offers protection you didn't ask for, check who they're really protecting you from. Maria felt scared. What do you think we should do? General Turner stood up straight. We need more information. And we need it fast. What kind of information? President Harper asked. We need to know what happened to other species that accepted this protection. And what happened to species that said no? Dr. Cross was writing notes quickly. I'll run some analysis on everything the ambassador said. There might be clues in his word choices. Good, President Harper said. Admiral Rodriguez, can you track those alien ships? Already on it, sir. I'll have hourly reports on their positions. Maria looked around the room. What if they're telling the truth? What if there really are threats out there? Then we'll face them ourselves, General Turner said firmly. But I don't trust anyone who won't tell me what I'm being protected from. The meeting broke up, but Maria could see the worry on everyone's faces. In 48 hours, Earth would have to give an answer, as the leaders left. She heard President Harper talking quietly to General Turner. Frank, I want our best people working on this. Something doesn't feel right. I agree, sir. This feels like a protection racket, not a rescue mission. Maria stayed in the empty room for a few minutes. She looked up at the ceiling where the ambassador had appeared. Beautiful, advanced, powerful aliens had come to Earth with an offer of protection. So why did she feel like humanity was in more danger now than before they arrived? Outside, she could see the alien ships in the sky. They looked like bright stars, but she knew they were watching Earth's every move. 48 hours to decide humanity's future. Maria hoped they would choose wisely. Captain Jake Martinez got his secret orders at midnight. Admiral Collins himself sent the message. The discovery was to leave quietly and investigate the nearest protected world. We need to know what Korathian protection really means. The message said, find out what happened to other species who accepted their offer. Jake gathered his crew in the ship's meeting room. Dr. Lisa Barnes, Lieutenant Amy Johnson, Commander Steve Parker, and the others all looked tired. They had been watching the alien ships for days. We're going on a special mission, Jake told them. Earth needs information about these Korathians. We're going to visit one of their protected worlds. Dr. Barnes looked worried. Captain, what? About the alien ships around us? We'll have to sneak away. Amy, can you create a fake signal to make them think we're still here? Amy nodded. I can use one of our spare communication devices. It will send signals like we're still in the same place. Good. Steve, prepare a small team for planetary investigation. We might need to go down to the surface. Commander Parker was their best soldier. What should we expect, sir? We don't know. That's why we need to find out. The plan was risky. They would use the ship's stealth systems to slip away while the aliens were distracted. Amy would drop the fake signal device, and they would fly to the nearest protected world. 3 hours later, The Discovery was flying through space toward a star system called Zarian. According to the Korathian data, this was one of their first protected worlds. "Captain," Dr. Barnes said, looking at her instruments, "I'm reading a planet with cities and technology, but something seems strange." "What kind of strange?" "The technology readings are old, like really old. Nothing new has been built there for decades." Jake felt that familiar bad feeling in his stomach. How long have the Korathians been protecting this world? According to their records, about 50 years. And nothing new has been built in 50 years? That's what it looks like. The Discovery approached Zarian Prime. The planet was green and blue with white clouds. It looked beautiful and peaceful. But as they got closer, Jake could see the Korathian defense stations floating in space around it. "Captain," Amy said, "I'm picking up radio signals from the planet. They're using very old technology. Can you understand what they're saying? Some of it sounds like normal daily life. But there's something sad about it." Jake made a decision. "Steve, take a small team down to the surface. Find out what life is like for the protected people." Commander Parker chose 3 crew members and took a small shuttle to the planet. Jake watched through the ship's cameras as they landed near a city. The city looked clean and organized. The buildings were nice, but simple. People walked on the streets, but they moved slowly, like they had nowhere important to go. Steve's voice came through the radio. "Captain, we've made contact with the locals. They call themselves Zarionians. They look like humans, but with blue skin and bigger eyes." "What are they telling you?" "They say they're happy to meet us, but they seem scared. They keep looking at the sky." Jake looked at Dr. Barnes. Why would they be scared of the sky? "Maybe they're afraid of the Korathian ships," she suggested. Steve continued his report. "Captain, we've learned some interesting things. The Zarionians say they've been protected for 50 years, but they're not allowed to develop certain technologies." "What kind of technologies?" "Space travel, advanced weapons, long-range communications, anything that could threaten other worlds." Jake felt his heart sink. That doesn't sound like protection. That sounds like control. It gets worse, sir. They have to give the Korathians 20% of everything they make. Food, materials, manufactured goods. They call it a protection. "Tax," Dr. Barnes shook her head. "Protection tax? That's what gangsters call it when they steal from people." Steve's voice came through again. "Captain, I'm talking to an older Zironian. He remembers life before the Korathians came. He says his people used to explore space and trade with other worlds. What happened? The Korathians said space was dangerous. They said the Zirionians needed to be protected. They built the defense stations and took control of all space travel. Jake felt angry, so they trapped them on their own planet." "That's what it looks like, sir. The old Zironian says his people used to be explorers and inventors. Now they just follow Korathian rules. Back on Earth, other people were making discoveries." 2. CIA Director Carol Reed was studying the Korathian communications with her team. Dr. Ben Wright, their best language expert, found something important. "Director Reed, I've been analyzing the alien words. They're not using the right translations." "What do you mean?" "When they say protection, the original word means something closer to management. When they say guidance, it means control. When they say cooperation, it means obedience." Carol felt cold, so they've been lying to us. "Not lying exactly, but they're not telling us the whole truth." At NASA, engineer Tony Clark was studying Earth's recent technology advances. He compared them to what other species had developed. "Admiral Rodriguez," he said over the phone, "I think I know why the aliens are really here. Tell me, look at our progress over the last 100 years. We went from flying in wooden airplanes to traveling in space. We developed nuclear power, computers, and antimatter research. That's impressive, but what's your point? Most species take thousands of years to make that much progress. We did it in 1 century. We're advancing faster than any species the Korathians have ever seen. Admiral Rodriguez was quiet for a moment. You think they're scared of us? I think they're scared of what we might become. Back on the Discovery, Commander Parker was finishing his investigation. Captain, we've learned everything we can. The Zirionians are basically prisoners on their own world. They're not being protected. They're being controlled. Any sign of the threats the Korathians mentioned? None. The Zirionians say they've never seen space pirates or ancient war machines. The only ships that ever come here belong to the Korathians. Jake made his decision. Come back to the ship. We need to report this to Earth. As the shuttle returned, Dr. Barnes was studying the defense stations around the planet. Captain, I've figured out how these stations work. What do? They don't just keep threats out. They keep the Zirionians in. No ship can leave the planet without Korathian permission. Jake stared at the defense stations with new understanding. It's a prison. A very nice prison, but yes. The Discovery started its journey back to Earth. Jake knew they had to hurry. Earth's leaders needed to know the truth before they gave their answer to the Korathians. Amy, send a coded message to Earth. Tell them what we found. Already working. On it, sir. As they flew through space, Jake thought about the Zirionians. 50 years ago, they had been explorers and inventors. Now they were managed and controlled by their protectors. Captain, Dr. Barnes said quietly, do you think that's what the Korathians want to do to us? Jake looked at the stars ahead of them. I think that's exactly what they want to do to us. But why? Because we're dangerous. Not to innocent people, but to anyone who wants to control the galaxy. We ask too many questions. We don't follow orders without understanding why. We explore and invent and change things. Dr. Barnes nodded. And that scares them. Yes, it does. The question is, what are we going to do about it? Jake had a feeling that humanity was about to surprise the Korathians. Humans didn't like being told what to do. And they really didn't like being lied to. The Discovery flew toward Earth, carrying news that would change everything. The Korathians had offered protection, but they were really offering slavery. Jake smiled grimly. The aliens had made one big mistake. They had given humanity time to think about their offer. And when humans had time to think, they usually found a way to fight back. The Discovery raced back to Earth with dangerous news. Captain Jake Martinez sat in his chair, watching the countdown timer. They had 18 hours before Earth had to give the Korathians an answer. Captain, Lieutenant Amy Johnson called from her station. I'm picking up Korathian communications. They don't know we can hear them. What are they saying? Amy looked worried. They're not speaking to us, sir. They're talking to someone else. Someone in charge. Dr. Lisa Barnes hurried over to listen. After a few minutes, her face went pale. Captain, they're reporting to something called the Galactic Security Council. They're saying Earth has been classified as a Category 5 expansion risk. Jake felt his blood turn cold. What does that mean? I'm not sure, but it doesn't sound good. Dr. Alan Moore, their science officer, was working at another station. Captain, I've been analyzing the data we collected from Zirion Prime. I found something disturbing. Show me. Alan put his findings on the main screen. Look at this timeline. The Zirionians were advancing quickly 50 years ago. They had just developed faster-than-light communication and were starting to explore other star systems. That's when the Korathians arrived? Exactly. Within 6 months of the Zirionians' first contact with another species, the Korathians showed up offering protection. Jake stared at the data. It's not a coincidence. No, sir. I think the Korathians have been watching for species that advance too quickly. When they find one, they move in to contain it. Amy suddenly looked up from her station. Captain, I just decoded more of their communications. Earth has been under observation since we developed nuclear weapons. That was over 80 years ago. Yes, sir. They've been watching us this whole time. Every major advancement we've made has been recorded and analyzed. Dr. Barnes shook her head. So when they say they've been impressed by our rapid growth, they really mean they've been worried by it. Jake stood up and paced around the bridge. Everything was starting to make sense. The Korathians weren't protectors. They were galactic. Police, keeping young species under control. Amy, get me a secure line to Earth. Priority Alpha. Within minutes, Jake was talking to Admiral Collins and the other Earth leaders. President Harper, General Turner, and Dr. Cross were all listening. Mr. President, Jake said, the Korathians are not what they claim to be. They're running a protection racket on a galactic scale. He told them everything they had learned. The controlled world of Zarian Prime. The communications about Earth being an expansion risk. A pattern of containing species that advance too quickly. General Turner was the first to speak. So they see us as a threat. Yes, sir. A threat to their control over the galaxy. Dr. Cross asked, what exactly makes us dangerous to them? Doctor. Moore answered from the Discovery. Our rate of technological advancement, our military innovations, and our expansion patterns. Most species apparently develop slowly and predictably. We don't. What kind of military innovations? President Harper asked. Combined arms tactics, asymmetric warfare, adaptive strategies. Most galactic species seem to specialize in either. Energy weapons or kinetic weapons. We use both, plus electronic warfare, biological weapons, and psychological tactics. Admiral Collins joined the conversation. They're probably used to fighting species that have predictable military doctrines. Our approach would be chaotic to them. Jake nodded. The Zirionians told us that most galactic wars are fought like chess games. Each side follows established rules and patterns. Humans fight like we're playing a completely different game. On Earth, things were moving quickly. Intelligence Officer Jenny Foster had been analyzing Earth's defense capabilities. General Turner, she reported, I've been studying our weapons compared to what the Korathians have shown us. We have some advantages they might not expect, such as their shields seem designed to stop the conventional energy weapons used by other species. Our projectile weapons, missiles, and kinetic penetrators work on different principles. You think we can fight them? I think we can surprise them. They're expecting us to fight like other galactic species. But we're not like other species. At the same time, Dr. Cross was working with her team to analyze Korathian psychology and tactics. President Harper, she said, I've figured out their strategy. They don't want to destroy developing species. They want to control them. Why? Because destroyed species produce nothing. Controlled species produce resources and labor. It's more profitable to manage than to eliminate. But what about species that refuse to be controlled? Dr. Cross looked grim. Based on the patterns we've found, species that refuse protection are labeled as rogue developments. Then they face containment measures. What kind of containment measures? We're not sure. But we haven't found any records of species that refused and survived. The countdown timer showed 12 hours remaining. Ambassador Zolfek had been waiting patiently for Earth's answer, but Jake could see that the alien ships were moving into more aggressive positions. Captain, Amy reported, the Korathian ships have powered up their weapons. They're also jamming our long-range communications. They're preparing for our refusal, Jake realized. Back on Earth, President Harper called an emergency meeting of all world leaders. Ladies and gentlemen, he said to the assembled presidents and prime ministers. We now know the truth. The Korathians aren't offering protection. They're demanding submission. What are our options? Asked Prime Minister Clark. General Turner stood up. We have two choices. Submit and become a managed species like the Zerionians, or fight for our independence. Can we win a fight against them? Asked President Harper. I don't know, General Turner admitted. But I know we can't win if we don't try. Dr. Cross addressed the room. Based on our analysis, the Korathians are used to dealing with species that think like them. Logical, predictable, rule-following species. We're none of those things. What do you mean? When other species face superior force, they surrender or fight conventionally and lose. Humans do unpredictable things. We use guerrilla tactics. We adapt quickly. We fight dirty when we have to. Admiral Rodriguez added, our entire military history is based on defeating enemies with superior numbers or technology. That's what we do best. Colonel Yu Wei nodded. In ancient China, we learned that the strong enemy expects you to fight with strength. The wise fighter wins by using the enemy's strength against them. President Harper looked around the room at all the world. Leaders. So what do we tell them? We tell them the truth, General Turner said. We thank them for their offer, but we'll handle our own defense. And when they ask us to reconsider, we ask them to leave. And when they refuse? General Turner smiled grimly. Then we show them why they were right to be afraid of us. The meeting ended with a unanimous decision. Earth would reject the Korathian offer. Back on the Discovery, Jake received the news. Captain, Amy said, Earth has made its decision. We're going to refuse their protection. Good. What's our role? We're to return to Earth immediately and prepare for possible conflict. Jake looked at his crew. They all looked scared but determined. You heard the orders, he said. Take us home. It's time to show the galaxy what humans are really made of. As the Discovery flew toward Earth, Jake thought about the choice humanity had made. They could have accepted safety and comfort as a managed species. Instead, they chose the dangerous path of freedom. The Korathians had asked if humans were dangerous. Soon, they would have their answer. But Jake suspected that the question they should have asked was not whether humans were dangerous, but whether they were ready for the kind of danger that humanity represented. The galaxy was about to find out. The time had come. President Kevin Harper stood before the cameras in the White House, speaking to the entire world and to the Korathian ships floating above Earth. Ambassador Zalthik, he said clearly, we have considered your generous offer of protection. After careful thought, we must respectfully decline. The response was immediate. Ambassador Zalthik appeared in the United Nations building, his crystal form glowing brighter than before. This is most unfortunate, President Harper. You do not understand the dangers your species will face without our guidance. We understand perfectly, Harper replied. We also understand what your guidance really means. The ambassador paused. What do you mean by that? General Frank Turner stepped forward. We know about Zerion Prime. We know about the other species. You protect. We know what Category 5 expansion risk means. Zalthik's glow flickered. For the first time, the alien looked surprised. You have been investigating us? Just like you've been investigating us for 80 years, Dr. Helen Cross said. The difference is, we asked permission first. The ambassador's form grew taller and more imposing. You have made a grave error. Species that refuse our protection face immediate containment. This is for the safety of the galactic community. Containment? President Harper asked. You mean imprisonment? I mean necessary control of dangerous elements. Captain Jake Martinez had just arrived back at Earth with the Discovery. He watched from orbit as the Korathian ships moved into attack formation. All ships, this is Captain Martinez. He broadcast to Earth Small,